Welcome back to Padel Smash TV News, where we cover not just the headlines, but what they mean for the future of the sport.
This week, Padel shows up in finance, real estate, the holy city of the Vatican, schools, tourism, junior competition, and one of the biggest stages in Rome. From Miami to the world, Padel Smash TV News for June 8th, 2026.
VanEck is stepping into Padel in a major way. The global investment manager has announced it will become the exclusive ETF partner of the Anglo-American Padel Club, taking place in South Florida in February 2027. That matters because this is not just another local tournament sponsor. VanEck is joining Playtomic and Babylon as part of the event's core sponsorship group, bringing a major finance brand into one of the fastest growing sports markets in the world. For Padel in the United States, this is another signal that the sport is moving beyond court openings and into serious business territory. When finance, tech, and global sports brands start showing up together, the industry is growing up fast.
According to the 2026 Playtomic Global Padel Report, the U.S. has been identified as a high-potential market with major room to develop. The report says that the U.S. added 250 clubs and 330 courts in 2025 alone. But the bigger story is not just the number of courts. It is the type of experience being built around them. The report points out clubs evolving into a broader social and wellness destination with food and beverages, fitness, recovery, community programming as part of their model. That is where the U.S. opportunity gets very, very interesting. Padel is here not just trying to copy the European market, it might become its own premium lifestyle version of the sport.
So Padel is no longer just an amenity. In luxury real estate, it is becoming part of a sales strategy. Mansion Global reports that the developers are moving beyond floor plans and renderings, using lifestyle experiences to help buyers feel the project before they even buy it. In Miami, Rosso Development built an 11-court paddle club tied to Midtown Park residents by Proper. That is the headline. Paddle is being used as a community builder, marketing tool, and proof of lifestyle all at once. For developers, the pitch is simple. Do not just show people where they could live. Show them how they could live. And right now, Paddle is becoming one of the most powerful ways to do that.
I love this story, says, for the simple reason that if we go back a few decades back, Spain did exactly the same thing. How do they make paddle growth in Spain? Same thing. Go to new developments, add paddle courts, and now the sport became a prime sport all over Spain. And the United States is following the same path.
Well, that's the benefit of being kind of last, right?
Yeah.
You get to see what works in all the other countries and pick out the best things and put them all right here in the USA.
During the BNL Italy Major Premier Paddle, FIP President Luigi Carraro and the Spanish star Paquito Navarro were received by Pope Leo XIV at the Holy City of the Vatican. Carraro presented the Pope with a commemorative racket from the Rome Major, describing the moment through the values of friendship, respect, and fraternity. For the sport, this was about a match result. It was about visibility. Padel is now being seen in cultural institutionals, global spaces that go far beyond the court. When a sport is welcomed into moments like this, it signals something different and very important. Padel is becoming part of a much larger international conversation, and Rome and the Holy City of the Vatican gave the sport a stage unlike any other.
And do you think the Pope really plays paddle?
I think so. I believe that the Vatican has a paddle court there. Yeah, they actually built a paddle court on the Vatican City. It's amazing.
Maybe Michelangelo drew some beautiful artwork on top of it. Paddle is officially entering the travel conversation. Yahoo creators published a lifestyle feature on some of the world's best places to play paddle, showing how the sport is becoming part of the destination experience. This is a big shift. For years, people traveled for golf, skiing, tennis, wellness, and food. Now paddle is starting to join that list. The article highlights the way resorts and international destinations are using paddle to attract active travelers. who want more than just a hotel stay. They want movement, they want community, they want something social to do when they arrive. That is why the story matters. Padel is not just growing in clubs, it is growing through travel, hospitality, and lifestyle.
TalkSport launched its inaugural Padel World Cup on YouTube, with 10 teams made up of sports personalities and TalkSport figures, competing into a live stream event. The format was built for entertainment. Matches were short, fast, and designed for an online audience, with group play, semifinals, and a final all packed into one broadcast window. This is important because Padel is not only growing through clubs and tournaments, it is growing through content. Celebrity play, YouTube distribution, and personality-driven formats can introduce the sport to people who might not watch a traditional match. That is how modern sports break through. They create moments that they were easy to watch, easy to share, and easy to understand. Padel fits that perfectly.
Can't wait till we do that, Jules.
I know, it will be incredible.
Ireland is making a serious youth access play. Padel 100 has launched a program to install free paddle courts at Irish School. Yes, free paddle courts, giving students and staffs access during the school day while helping schools create a new revenue opportunity outside school hours. Reports say more than 20 schools have already signed up, with 50 new courts planned in the coming months. This is how sport becomes part of a daily life, not just through private clubs, not just through premium memberships, but through schools, students, families, and communities. For Padel, this kind of model could be huge because the earlier the young players touch the sport, the stronger the long-term player becomes later. Ireland may be showing a blueprint of where other countries should watch closely.
This is a fantastic story. When you bring juniors into the conversation, that's where you get the real growth. I mean, bringing paddle to school, brilliant idea. And I think one of the things the UK and Ireland and Scotland and Wales are doing right, it's bringing juniors into the the ecosystem.
Well, I think this model works.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to figure out how they can incorporate paddle in schools, but the model where the players can play for free, same thing with staff, and then after hours they can just charge, pay to play to create some revenue for the return on that investment is genius.
Cardiff is becoming part of the junior paddle pathway. Smash Paddle Cardiff hosted what the paddle paper described as Britain's biggest FIP Promises junior event to date. In partnership with Tennis Wales, the tournament ran from June 4th through June 7th and formed part of the International Padel Federation Global Junior Circuit. This matters because junior infrastructure is one of the most important signs of a sport's future. Adult participation can create a boom. Junior competition creates a pipeline. And for Great Britain, events like this give young players the chance to compete internationally, earn experience, and see paddle as a more than a hobby. They can start to see as a pathway. This is how a new generation gets built.
Great Britain has another junior paddle story to watch. Ben Phillips, the GB under-18 #1, won a breakthrough FIP Promises title in Grosseto, Italy. The timing is important. Phillips earned the result ahead of FIP Junior Euro Padel Club in Porto, giving him a momentum before one of the biggest junior stages on the calendar. This kid is a story that shows where the sport is going. The professional game gets the spotlight, but the future of paddle is being built on juniors events like this. Every country trying to grow their sport needs more than just courts. It needs pathways, it needs competition, it needs young players who can see future in the game. Ben Phillips is part of that next wave.
The next generation of American paddle took certain stage in Chicago. The FIP Promises event returned to Paddle Club in Mundelein, Illinois, from May 29 through May 31st, giving juniors players in the United States another chance to compete under the international pathway. FIP highlighted the next-gen champions from the event, including Alejo Khalil and Emiliano Gonzalez, winning the under-18 draw. For US Paddle, this is the kind of development that matters. Yes, new clubs are important. Yes, big sponsorships are important. But the sport also needs young players competing, improving, and staying in the game. Chicago shows the American paddle is not just growing at a club level, it is starting to build a junior foundation. And I think that's the key for the United States to develop paddle to the next level.
Right on, Jules. France is pushing paddle deeper into the tourist economy. City Paddle is partnering with Pierre and Vacances Work in Paddle and Paddle Generations to open 3 new paddle centers inside French holiday villages. The goal is clear. Make paddle available not only to the local players, but also to families and vacationers looking for active experiences during their stay. This is another sign that paddle is becoming more than a club sport. It is becoming part of hospitality, part of tourism, part of vacation packages for resorts and holiday destinations. The value is obvious. Paddle is social, easy to learn, and perfect for groups. That makes it strong fit for travel destinations trying to offer more than just a pool and a restaurant. Guys, this coffee and talk is powered by one of my favorite coffees by Lavazza Gold Edition. Gold Edition.
So it says, why don't we talk about what just transpired this past week in Italy, Rome? The Italy Premier Paddle is the first major of the year. Amazing performance by some of these players. And why don't we jump in first to the Cinderella story? Momo Gonzalez and Lucas Campagnolo making a run all the way to the semifinals on the run of 16s, knocking out first Mike Yanguas and Stupasuk. Actually, it was a magical performance. They beat him, 6-4, 7-6. And what it was more important, the previous week, Yanguas and Stupasuk beat them, Campagnolo and Momo Gonzalez, in the Albania FIP tournament. So this was more like a redemption match.
Like a revenge.
Revenge. So that match was outstanding. Then they went on and beat Paquito Navarro and Martin Dineno 2.0. They came back together for the Italian Open, and they beat him too. And they made the run all the way to the semifinals. What a beautiful, beautiful story. Sadly, ended up losing to Coello and Tapia. 6-1, 6-4, but I think it was just a magical, magical performance with this new, team created.
So let's talk about Galan and Chingotto against Lebron and Augsburger.
Yes.
What did you think about that game?
I think it's, first of all, the Chingolans, they take care of business. They don't have any hiccups. Same thing as Tapia and Coello. I think that it was an intense match. A few mistakes,
but I think they beat them pretty easily.
It was 7-6, 6-3. The first one went down to the wire to a tie break. The second set was just a break. So they have that extra edge, I believe.
I think so.
Yes, I mean it was just a beautiful tournament. They let Tapia and Coello. Finally, after losing 4 straight times to, the Chingolans, they were able to beat him. And they beat him with I don't think they play incredible, the Chingolans, but I think they were dominant.
Yeah, the Coello and Tapia were definitely dominant in that game. I don't know what it was. Something clicked. Maybe a little fire, maybe a change in strategy. I don't know. I also didn't see, I saw Chingotto making a little bit more mistakes than usual. Couple crucial points. They weren't as consistent, as hungry as they were. I think maybe a little bit of the confidence came in. We beat them so many times. I don't know what it was, but I saw Coello and Tapia there really dominate that game.
I think, and here's the crazy story. If the Chingotto and Galan would have won, they would have been only 10 points away from the number ones.
Yes.
And there were so many things on the line. Not only the points, but also the pride.
Yeah.
After, losing 4 straight times, it was a pride thing, and they wanted to restore the order of who are the number ones. They weren't on. I mean, you saw them; they were on fire.
But I think, between Lebron, Augsburger, and Chingotto and Galan, they're right up there with them. You know that at the end
Yeah.
it can go either way. It wasn't like the last 2 years where it's like, okay, Coello and Tapia are winning.
The way I see it, for me, Coello and Tapia and Chingotto and Galan, they're like one step above everybody else. When they play each other, anybody could win.
Yeah.
Lebron and Galan, I'm sorry, Augsburger and Lebron, if they're playing their best, they can beat anybody.
Yes.
But they're sort of like, they have too many ups and downs, far.
They're volatile.
They're volatile. It's like Bitcoin, they go up and down.
Well, it's Augsburger is young, and then you have Lebron, which is, you don't know what Lebron you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So but when they're both on, they could be number one easily.
And now let's move on to the women's side. The awakening that we all been waiting for. Adi Sanchez and Andrea Ustero, finally, they made a run all the way to the final with that outstanding, incredible, one-in-a-lifetime performance on the semifinals, beating Bea Gonzalez and Paulita Jose Maria.
It was a war.
It was a war.
It was a war. They had to work for that.
It was 5-7, 7-6 tiebreak, 7-6 tiebreak on the third. And not only that, they were 5 match points down. And they came back, they put it together, and they beat them.
4 hours.
4 hours and 12 minutes.
4 hours. Over 4 hours.
By the way, is the longest paddle match in the history of the Premier Paddle, men and women.
They had 2 match points.
No, they have 4 match points.
4 match points.
4 match points. Bea Gonzalez, Paulita Jose Maria on the second set.
Yeah, it's a killer, man.
It was a killer.
Killer.
And on the third set, they also had 1 match point. It went down to the wire. It was an outstanding match.
It was the best game of that whole premiere.
Yeah, it was incredible. And you wonder, after playing for almost 4.5 hours, be ready on the next day.
It's a tough one, man.
To play the finals. I think
we'll see Delphi and what do you call it? Won.
Jim and Delphi.
Easy. Yeah. It wasn't they won fairly easy. Also, they're fresh and ready to go.
Yeah.
For that finals, I think Ustero and Sanchez, their first set, they were still getting it together.
Yeah.
For the second set, okay, started playing better, but it just that 4 hours the day before.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they were just running out empty, on the finals.
I think the Italy major, restore the number one dominance, the men's and the women's, both number ones. They ended up winning the tournament. I think it was an outstanding tournament.
Yeah.
The place doesn't get any better at the Foro Italico. Well done, guys. From Rome to Chicago, from schools to luxury development. This week showed that paddle is not just expanding. It is becoming part of the culture.
That is why we keep watching the business side of the paddle. Because the biggest stories are not just always who wins, but who is building the future.
Like this video, subscribe to Padel Smash TV, and tell us which story we should go deeper next.
And from Miami to the world,
this is Padel Smash TV.